through the beauty of the internet. So we're just going to do a little bit of stretching, and I'm going to show you some stuff that everybody can do. You can do it in your chair. All right, and I got a 5-minute timer because they said I got 5 minutes. So let me grab a chair. I don't know if am I in the picture? All right. So, all right, we started. All right, so in your chair, just lift up, take a deep breath, and let it out. And do it again. And let it out. All right, stretch your legs out in front of you. Point your toes. And then bring your toes back toward you. Like, I don't know if you can, but point and then bring them back toward you. And that stretches your calf muscles. So bring them and stretch them. Can you feel the stretch? Mm-hmm. You feel it? And it's good for if you're sitting and sitting for long periods of time. And even like on an airplane, you can do this. And on long flights, the stewardess and stuff will tell you to do some of these. And then you can bring your toes like flat-footed, and then push up on your toes and down. Push up on your toes. Because our heart moves our blood, okay? But the lymph don't move unless we move. So if we're not moving, okay? And then I don't know if I can do this. I didn't come prepared. Just bring your leg up on your, if you can do that, and then just grab your ankle, and then just kind of push gently on your knee. You feel that in your hip? Feel that? And then make a switch, and bring the other one up. Grab it. See, and as we age, what we do is we contract. And when we contract, because we've all seen the little old people shuffling around, right? And that's what our muscles do. They just contract and they bring us in. So we can't take full breaths. We can't, so that's why we want to expand our chest. We want to, and our hips. A lot of folks, as they age, they have back problems. And that usually comes from the hips. So if we keep our hips stretched out, there's other things that you can do, but we're just doing it in a chair today. All right. And then take your arm and go this way. Just kind of give it a good stretch. You feel the stretch kind of in your shoulder and stuff, down your back a little bit. And then the other one. All right, now give your gizzard a stretch. Go like this and twist as much as you can. And then go the other way and twist. That kind of gives your insides a nice little twist, gets them moving a little bit. And odd muscles that don't get used. Yeah, these are, yeah. And then you can, and if you want, you can kind of move your knees apart and then kind of go down. And then stretch back up. We're almost there. All right. How did it? Yeah. And see, so anybody can do these just sitting in your chair. You're sitting there watching TV. You're sitting there doing your thing. You don't want to sit too long because, a lot of folks get blood clots. I don't know if you all know, but I'm a paramedic and I see that a lot. Eat your greens, that helps too. All right. So that was close to 5 minutes.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
All right. Tomorrow we do something different. Okie doke. All right. Well, I've got something arranged here. Some of you have seen this if you were in Tennessee. It's health is a symphony. The health of our bodies it's not just one thing. It's not just what we eat. It's everything. It's what we see. It's what we do. It's the people we hang out with. It's what we intake into our body and our minds. It's a whole slew of things. So, all right. All right, so who am I? I'm a certified holistic health counselor. I have a degree in health sciences with a major in paramedicine. I'm a Hallelujah Acres health minister. I'm a gluten-free practitioner, and I'm also a doctor of chiropractic. I'm also a human being that's made many mistakes. I've recovered from disease using no medicine. I'm a mother, and I've had my child at home. I'm a work in progress. All right, so think about health. All right, what is it, and how can we take control of our health? Many people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge, Hosea 4:6. So we need to seek out what we can do to help ourselves. Health is a symphony. It's spiritual, it's relationships, it's career, it's physical activity, it's water, it's food, and rest. Good news, God not only created man, but he already wrote the symphony. We just have to play the music. All scripture is given by the inspiration of God and is profitable. 2 Timothy 3:16. Know ye not that ye are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you? If any man defile the temple, him shall God destroy. For the temple of God is holy, which temple ye are. 1 Corinthians 3:16 and 17. What? No, know ye not that your body is a temple of the Holy Ghost which is in you, which ye have of God, and ye are not your own? For ye are bought with a price. Therefore glorify your God in your body and in your spirit, which are God's. 1 Corinthians 6:19 through 20. So see, God has given us understanding. He's given us everything. But without faith, it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. Hebrews 11:16. So how's your spiritual faith? Because it matters. Relationships. Our number one relationship should be with God, and everything else falls in with that. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. Matthew 22:35 through 38. Now, the commandments, the first four are your vertical relationship with God. The rest of them are horizontal relationships with others. So God knew how important, he knew the guidance that we needed. He made us. And here's your 10 commandments. And you can see that the first is all about your relationship with God. And 5 through 10 is your relationship with other folks. Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Christ. Colossians 2:18. Our traditions will get us into trouble in many different ways. You know, a lot of the traditions that our celebrations are, the food and stuff that we eat, it's traditional to eat this or whatever. And it's not, it should not be that way. We need to put those behind and focus on God and what he has said for us to do. All right, exercise, do we need it? And the Lord God took man and put him in the Garden of Eden to dress it and keep it, Genesis 2:15. So that means we're not couch potatoes. He put Adam and Eve in the garden to work, not to just sit and hang out with him, but to work. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, Exodus 29. So yeah, we're made to be mobile human beings. Okay, without exercise, the body does not work properly. I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well. Psalm 139:14. Muscles. Without exercise, the muscles begin to waste away. And I don't know if you've ever seen anybody in a cast. When they come out of that cast, their muscles are withered away. And that's my foot in a cast. I fell out of an ambulance and broke it in 3 places. These are not my legs, but my leg looked a whole lot worse than that. So without exercise, our muscles wear away. And so we know that, in the cast, it's not able to work and move. And so they just waste away. And the same thing, your whole body does the same thing. If you don't get up and you don't move it, it's going to just waste away. And believe me, I pick up people on my ambulance and they are wasted away. All right, so your heart, we just mentioned this. The heart pumps blood around the body. But your lymphatic system, you have to move. So it has no pump, so it depends on the motion or exercises of the body to move. The lymph cleanses and feeds the body. If the lymph does not move, the toxins build up and accumulate in the body. As the toxins build up, the healthy cells are cut off from receiving nutrients and are unable to rid themselves of their toxic load. Tonsils and appendix become inflamed and swollen when the lymph is burdened. How many people have their tonsils taken out? Or their gallbladder, or their appendix? All right, food and water. What do we eat? God told us everything. He didn't leave anything for us to guess about. And God said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed which is upon the face of the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. Genesis 1:29. There you go. That's your original diet. And the further away we get from it, the sicker we become. Milk. Everybody thinks milk's great. Milk does a body good, right? We see that on TV all the time. So it's heated to 160 degrees, then homogenized, and then coal tar delivered vitamins are added in an attempt to restore some of the vitamins lost during processing. The pasteurization process renders the calcium unusable by the body. The heat changes the organic calcium into an inorganic form that is unusable by the body. It now takes calcium from the bones to process that milk. Dairy products create an acidic state in the body. The calcium in our bones is taken and used by the body to create alkalinity. So we're moving toward an acidic state with all this acid. All right, so your biggest source of alkaline is those bones, and it's going to pull. So we have what? Osteoporosis. How many people got osteoporosis? They're acidic. Dairy products can also cause excess mucus in the body. My dad had COPD, and the more dairy products he ate, the worse off he became. And in the end, that's all he ate was dairy products, and it completely clogged his lungs. All right, so you've got animal protein over here that creates excess nitrogen and uric acid and sulfuric acid. And that's in your bloodstream. All right, so then it's got to pull from the calcium in your bones. And then you got your calcium that's lost from the bones. And then it deposits in the kidneys. You get kidney stones, right? So there's nothing good about this process at all. And then you also spilling calcium in your urine. So yeah, milk isn't as good as it's cracked up to be. And here's a study that they did, and the line on it goes, the countries with the biggest dairy intake had the highest hip fracture. So there's all these kinds of studies showing that milk's not that great. And here you go. Here's your bones. The bone over there on that side, I guess it'd be your left. That's like a normal bone. And then over here, this is, the one in the middle is kind of somewhere in the process. And this third bone, that's what your osteoporosis looks like. Your bones become brittle. And Okie doke. Wheat, grains. I can't myself eat any grains, but all your grains are genetically modified. That means they've got glyphosate in them. So they're really not good for anybody. Um, Let me see, can you even read that?
What the tiny stuff?
Not okay. All right. So they're GMO, and all grains have gluten. They tell you, oh, except oats and hold on, except sometimes they'll tell you except oats and oats. Sometimes oats. Well, God didn't make a gluten-free oat. Anybody hear of Avenin? The Aveeno soap, Avenin. Avenin is the gluten in the oat. So oats are not without gluten.
What about rice?
Huh?
Rice.
Rice has gluten as well. Sorry. Gluten intolerance has been linked to over 300 diseases, and grains cause blood sugar to be unstable, like this. Okay, and what do most folks eat? And if you go on the American Diabetic Association, you will see that they are sponsored by Coke, Pepsi, Frito-Lay, Kellogg's. Okay, and all that stuff is what? Yeah, grains. And so these diabetics don't get any better.
I wonder if there's a motive behind that.
I just wonder. All right, so what's gluten? So anything that is a grain, okay, so you have the endosperm is the germ, the grain's food supply, which provides essential energy so the young plants so it can send down roots for water and nutrients and send sprouts up for the sunlight's photosynthesizing power. The endosperm is by far the largest portion of the kernel. It contains starchy carbohydrates, proteins, and small amounts of vitamins and minerals. So that's what gluten is. It's so that the little plant can survive. But our stuff has been hybridized and GMO'd, and yeah, it doesn't work well with the body. And I think World War I or World War II is where they come up with what gluten is. And they had these banana babies. And the banana babies had failure to thrive. Well, because of the war effort, they took all the grains and fed them to the troops. So they had to feed these babies bananas. Well, the babies started thriving. Well, then a point came where they could give the babies back the grains, and they failure to thrive again. And those three grains were wheat, barley, rye. So that's where this stuff comes from, wheat, barley, rye. But it's all grains. All grains have gluten. All right, and here's some of your prolamines is what's known as gluten, and you can see that your wheat, gliadin. Everybody's probably heard of gliadin, right? Okay, that's 69%. That's high. Okay, here's your rice, and there's the name of the gluten in the rice. And oats, there's your avenin. See, when you quit eating wheat, you're 69%. So if you go to eating just rice and oats, okay, obviously your body's going to get better because you're not sending it so much. But sooner or later, you get what's called gluten whiplash. It'll catch up. You're setting the body on fire, and it can handle it for a while, and then it doesn't.
I'm not sure I understand what the 69% refers to.
That's the total amount of gluten in a wheat kernel. Yes.
Because we sold wheat for many years, and you never had wheat with that high of a percentage of gluten.
That's what the wheat
Because
is.
they test for it.
It's not the percentage of gluten. Wheat protein never gets over 20-some percent.
Well, they've hybridized it, and it's 69. The gluten is 69.
It must be the percent of gluten, not the percent of protein.
Gluten is different from the protein. So it's the gluten.
It says total protein.
Well, total protein, okay. But that's what they've hybridized it. They have hybridized our grains and GMO'd them, and so it's very high now.
So she's not saying that the total protein is 69.
No.
The percent of the protein that's gluten is 69.
Yes.
Okay, that's
Sorry. I guess I didn't understand your question.
Yeah. For me. Took me a minute.
All right, now I'm going to take everything away from you. I've got the grains, I've got the dairy. What?
So how can we eat corn?
You can't. It's got gluten in it. And corn is hybridized, it's GMO'd, it's got glyphosate in it. And if we were to run a glyphosate test on people's blood, you'll see that the glyphosate levels are high. And we see now that these little kids, okay, when we were in school, we played soccer and baseball and football and all that good kind of stuff. And we just didn't see any injuries. Now you're seeing third graders with injuries of a professional athlete, torn ACLs and stuff like that. But because the glyphosate reacts on your ligaments and tendons, and it weakens them. So the glyphosate.
There's no way to eat barley and oats.
They what?
There's no way to eat barley and oats.
I mean, you can if you want. I mean, it's a personal choice. I can't myself. It makes me sick.
So organic or anything like that, these that you buy from
Trader Joe's got in trouble because they were selling corn chips that said that they were completely organic, and they were not. They were full of glyphosate. So, huh?
What about king corn?
That's an ancient grain. I don't have any stuff on it, but I know that I can't eat it because I'm intolerant to the grains. It won't let me. My body won't let me. Which is why you see me bringing my the stuff to supplement what they have, because I just can't eat the grains. So sugar taken every day produces a continuously over acid condition, and more minerals are required from deep in the body to attempt to rectify the imbalance. To protect the blood, so much calcium is taken from the bones and teeth that decay and general weakening begin. Excess sugar eventually affects every organ in the body. It rots and rusts the body. Okay, and things that turn to sugar, grains, just saying. They turn to sugar, and diabetics, that eat that kind of thing. I mean, that's the ones where you can tell because their sugar does this. Oh, sorry, didn't see you.
Yeah, most of the commercial sugar that you get comes from sugar beets, and almost all sugar beets are GMO.
Yes, that's true. Absolutely.
They spray them with.
Yeah, and they spray them.
With
Glyphosate.
Yeah.
All right, so your diabetes, that's what we know, mostly diabetes. The high blood sugar damages the small vessels. High blood insulin promotes inflammation and large blood vessels disease like coronary heart disease, carotid heart disease, and they cause a stroke as well as putting you at a risk for developing cancer. Cancer feeds on sugar. And
your blood thick and sticky.
Yes, it does. And you can see these things, when I go to draw blood and stuff like that, you can tell something's wrong by just looking at their blood. So what do they do? All right, there you go. Your insulin. If your diabetes gets out of control too much, they're going to tell you to do insulin, okay? And the medical practice tells you can eat what you want, just take your insulin. And insulin, I can always tell when somebody's on insulin when I go to give them an IV, their veins explode, just boom. Same with aspirin therapy. And then if you really get bad, dialysis. Dialysis is 3 times a week, 4 hours a session. You have no life. Those people are sad, and they've got you can see the shunts in there they got to put in their arm and stuff like that. And then you've got your cankles. So you can tell when the lymph system's bad, and you've been eating the wrong things, you're not taking care of your body. You end up with these because the lymph can't move, the blood can't move, so it just stagnates down there. And diabetes, okay, it not only eats away at your veins and arteries, but it's gonna eat away at your myelin on your nerves. So pretty soon you're not able to feel your feet. People with diabetes will get up and they'll walk from their house all the way to the car before they can feel their feet. And the neuropathy, the feet is what it affects mostly, but it'll go to the hands and the fingers, and they're unable to feel anything. All right, you wouldn't give a child a beer, but you won't think twice about handing them a juice or a soda. The fructose in the drink acts like alcohol in the body. Sugar's the alcohol of the body. The juices, especially the juices that you're getting on the shelf. Now, the fresh pressed juices, the cold pressed juices that you can get, they still high in sugar. You want to be careful, but most folks are giving their kids like orange juice. They go to the orange juice case, get a thing of orange juice. Well, there's nothing in that. It's just sugar. I mean, it's just processed. It's been processed. It's dead. It's dead.
And they call it fresh, but sometimes it sits in great big huge vats for months, and then they add all this stuff to it to actually make it taste
Yes.
like juice.
Yeah. So it's no good. But you see these kids running around, oh, we got the kids' juice. So sugar versus alcohol. Okay, so sugar is metabolized in the liver, so is alcohol. In excess leads to liver and fat accumulation. Same thing with alcohol. Causes metabolic syndrome. Same thing with alcohol. And they impact the pleasure center of the brain and make you want more. Same. See, it's no different. But yet we're out here. But half the people that are doing this, they don't even know. They don't even know.
We have a lot of commercialization that pushes these things too.
Well, and the doctors tell them, oh, well, just you can give your kid some juice. It'll be all right. Fresh squeeze maybe, but not the stuff you get in the cans. So you have a normal liver and the non-alcoholic fatty liver, and then you've got NASH and then cirrhosis. All right? And corn syrup, sugar, alcohol, same thing. They do the exact same thing to the liver. And people will say, well, I don't drink alcohol. You don't have to. Have some corn syrup. It's in most of your soft drinks and stuff like that. And I mean, if you're going to have a soft drink, at least get the kind with sugar in it, because the corn syrup eats away more at the liver because the body really can't handle corn syrup. The sugared kind isn't good for you either.
I was gonna say a lot of pastries they put the high fructose corn syrup in it, so you have to be careful.
It's in everything because it's cheap.
Yeah.
It's cheap. But this and I mean, if you're eating off the shelves and stuff, that and we have a lot of people. We have a pandemic now of people running around with fatty liver. They don't even know, and they got fatty liver. And then they'll be like, "Oh, well, my doctor diagnosed me with fatty liver. Do you understand that you're on your way to cirrhosis?" Doctor didn't tell them that part.
We got a fella in the government now that's going to make food great again.
Yes, we do, and he's doing a pretty good job. He is. He's making a dent on things. We're happy for any help.
The GMOs would be nice.
That would be really nice. Some of the European countries and stuff have gotten rid of those. All right, I told you sugar feeds cancer. All right. Now, when you are diagnosed with cancer or somewhere in your cancer journey, they want to see if the tumors have shrunk or how far along is the cancer and stuff like that. All right, you can get a PET scan, positron emission tomography. It helps physicians successfully pinpoint the source of the cancer. Okay, but what they're injecting into you is radiated sugar. You have to fast, and so then the cancer sucks up this radiated sugar. Okay, you're already sick, so let's put some radiated sugar. Makes sense, right? Exactly. And what do they give you after surgery? Oh, you want a soda? You want a popsicle? All right, so many cancer cells are highly metabolic and therefore consume the radioactive glucose. It's injected into the patient. The areas of high glucose uptake are dramatically displayed in the scan imagery. PET scan can reveal the stage of the cancer, higher the metabolism of the cells, more severe and advanced the cancer, the extent of the disease, and predict its possible spread. And there you go. That's what a PET scan looks like. And what they don't tell you is you can go have a thermogram. A thermogram, like for instead of a mammogram, because a mammogram's radiating, and I'm sorry, it's medieval. I don't want any part of my body stuck between two plates and squashed. That's medieval to me. All right. A friend of mine, her dad was diagnosed with cancer. They wouldn't even do the PET scan on him because he was so sick, and they thought that and he was diabetic and had, every disease known to mankind. I told her, I said, have him have a thermogram. He went and had a thermogram, and it showed that the cancer was all over. And the thermograms are FDA approved. There's no radiation. You go in, sit down for about 20 minutes, and stand in front of the camera. And because cancer has a high metabolism, then it picks that up, and on a thermogram it shows up white hot, and you can tell. All right, here's your sugar. Now, we all know that there's sugar in soda. Okay, so a 12 ounce is 39 grams. A 20 ounce is 65 grams. 20 ounces is what everybody walks around with, right? That's the new thing, walking around with 20 ounces of soda. You see people coming into work in the mornings with the great big huge, cups that they can fill at the gas station, and that's their breakfast is 20 or more ounces of soda. All right, that's 65 grams. Okay, and then a liter is 108 grams. And you can see the calories there, calories from the sugar. All right, we kind of know that these sugary coffee drinks, they do taste good, but there's a lot of sugar. That's 47 grams. And that's just a 16 ounce.
Yeah, I want to give a little shout out to Coca-Cola because I watched a little video where you can actually store lead acid battery with it.
Yes, yeah. And you want to clean your toilet? Dump a Coke down there. It'll clean your toilet real good. Clean your battery terminals off and everything. All right, now okay.
In India, when we were over there, what they used to kill the bugs in their rice, Pepsi. They will put a liter of Pepsi in 40 gallons of water, and it kills the bugs.
I don't doubt it. Isn't that weird? And then we're drinking that stuff, just straight. Okay, this next one's a little surprising. There's your normal Thanksgiving dinner, right? Look at how much sugar's in that. 105 grams. And that's just your potatoes, your turkey, your green beans, your dressing, your roll, and your piece of pie there. 105 grams. No one thinks that Thanksgiving dinner is, has got their sugar out of control.
Our biggest problem is our country has gotten very lazy because we solely rely on processed foods.
Exactly. And our processed foods are what? Grains. All right. And look at this picture. Okay, your pie crust is grains. Okay, that's grains. That's grains. So a lot of your sugar in that picture comes from grains. So
processed foods is a lot of chemicals too.
Mm-hmm. But this one for me, when I found that, I was like, what? All right, here's the equivalent. Okay, a 20-ounce bottle of Coke, 65 grams of sugar. You'd have to eat about 3 pounds of carrots. But the body's not going to treat that sugar the same way because the carrot's perfectly balanced. It's got the fiber. It's got all this other stuff. So it's not going to elevate your sugar like drinking 65 grams. 3 pounds at one sitting is an awful lot of carrots. You'll be regular. All right, so I told you, I'm on an ambulance, right? All right, so I go out to diabetic emergencies all the time. All right, so what did we say was in a 20-ounce soda? Something like 45 grams of sugar, something like that, right? It's high. When I go to wake up a diabetic patient and pump the sugar into their arm to wake them up, how much sugar do you think I give them? 25 grams. So when you're drinking a soda, that's almost twice that. But 25 grams. And that's straight sugar straight up into their vein. My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Most folks, they don't know how to feed themselves. I picked up a pastor one time on my truck, and we went out. He was having chest pain, and we always ask, well, what were you doing when this started? He said, I was just sitting here doing my bills. I said, well, doing my bills gives me chest pain too. And then I found out that his wife had just passed away the month prior from a massive heart attack. And so he had the chest pain, so it bothered him. He was scared. He gets in the back of my ambulance. That's when I find out he's a pastor. And he's on a lot of meds. And I said, I thought you said you was a pastor. And he said, well, I am. I said, you skipped that whole Genesis 129? And he said, what's Genesis 129? I said, you're a pastor, you don't know that? So we got to talking, and I asked him what he had for breakfast. Bacon and eggs. And you wonder why all these medicines that you're on, and you wonder why you're scared of a heart attack. And he said, well, what do you eat for breakfast? I said, okay, but don't ask me where I live. Do not ask me where I live, because I know you'll be over knocking on my door, want my breakfast. He goes, well, what do you eat? And I said, like Brussels sprouts. I said, that's my favorite. Fritos for breakfast. Absolutely for breakfast. They're awesome. I brought some to have this week for breakfast. Bernice doesn't know it. She's in for a treat.
Don't forget about the green smoothie.
That's right. Green smoothies. That's what saved me, was the green smoothie. All right. Hormones. How many people do you know these days that are messed up? Their hormones are messed up. It's a lot. A lot. And it'll take your body and turn it upside down. All right. Regulate the food intake, and we are affected by what we eat. Everything we eat affects our body. It affects our mood. It affects our metabolism. It affects how we sleep. So once we understand how this works, then we can make our hormones work for us instead of against us. So a hormone is a chemical that's made in one place of the body, but it works elsewhere, somewhere else. And they're the master controllers of whether we burn energy or we store it. Sugar makes our hormones go haywire. It rots and rusts. Anybody heard of ghrelin? Okay, it's a hormone. It comes from your stomach, and it tells your body that it's hungry. So when your stomach's empty, the ghrelin goes up and signals your brain that you're hungry. All right, now it's got peptide YY, and that's the satiety hormone. So it takes about 20 minutes for it to kick in. So if you're sitting there just gobbling your food down, like kind of we have to when we're on the ambulance, you gobble your food down and you're still kind of hungry because it takes 20 minutes for that peptide YY to kick in. And so that's the time that it takes to tell your brain that, hey, you're satisfied, we're good, stop. But most people don't. They eat and they eat fast. All right, insulin's also a hormone. All right, so it's made in the pancreas, and it's your energy storage hormone. And insulin, it sends the nutrients from whatever you've eaten to where they need to go in the body. So it's not just a sugar thing. Amino acids from proteins will go to muscles. Fat will go to fat cells. Carbohydrates will either be utilized immediately, or the excess will get deposited in fat cells. And that's the part of insulin that's never talked about. It's only talked about in like sugar. All right, so then you got leptin. Okay, this hormone sends a signal to your brain by traveling through your bloodstream and says, hey, I don't need to eat so much. I've got enough energy on board, which results in decreasing your food intake. Okay, made in the fat cells, called the starvation hormone. When you have enough energy stored up in your fat cells, the leptin levels are higher. Okay, but you can be fooled. That corn syrup in all your food, it makes that leptin not work. So you just eat. So your leptin and your ghrelin, they work One says you're hungry, one's, you're not. And one says you're satisfied. So, they work in harmony with each other, but you can fool your hormones. Too much sugar. It messes with your hormone regulation. We believe we are starving, so we overeat. Without the leptin signal, your brain thinks you are starving, so you continue eating and consuming more sugar, creating more insulin. So increased insulin, it overwhelms the liver, causes it to store fat. So then you become at risk for developing large vessel disease, diabetes, and cancer. Increased insulin blocks the leptin signal, starvation hormone. Insulin is translated more to fat. And that's why you see a lot of diabetics having heart attacks and strokes and, just things like that. All right, so in our favor, 1 glass of water before every meal decreases the amount you will eat by at least 8 ounces and suppresses ghrelin. Modified fasting, which decreases ghrelin secretion and increases leptin. And we know the Bible tells us that fasting is good for us. This here's just science after the fact. So through fasting and chewing your food slowly, you can suppress the ghrelin and the hunger at its origin. The more you restrict your calories, the lower the baseline for ghrelin. Ghrelin levels tend to decrease naturally after you fast for a few days. That means that after fasting for more than 48 hours, your hunger diminishes. It's getting through those first 48 hours. That's the trouble. So when you are gaining weight, fast for 2 or 3 days, and you will become less hungry and regain some control. But that 2 or 3 days is hard to get through. Better pray a lot. All right, so your water. Okay, so the Bible uses water as symbolizing of faith, salvation, and provision. Water is essential to our physical living, just as Jesus is essential to our spiritual living. So this year's check your weight in kilograms, divide by 30, add more water for physical activity. Remember that the food has water in it too. So if you weigh 150, approximately 68 kilograms, so you divide the 68 by 30 and you get 2.26 liters about you should consume. If you exercise, you probably lose a lot of water through the sweat. So you add about 0.35 liters to the figures for every half hour that you exercise. And if you exercise for an hour every day, add 0.7 liters of water to your daily requirement. So water is really important, and the type of water that you have is really important. Most of what comes out of our tap, I have a website where you can go put your zip code in, and if you're on city water, it'll tell you exactly what's in that. You can see the test results, and it's pretty scary. I, at my house, have a distiller. It distills about 12 gallons a day, and it's hooked to my refrigerator. So anything that comes out of my refrigerator, my ice and everything else, it's all distilled water. So whenever they have a boil, like a water main breaks or something like that, I don't have to worry about it because my water's done boiled. It's distilled. All right, rest. So 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the 7th day is the Sabbath day of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor the stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and rested the 7th day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Exodus 29 through 11. Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. So obviously, God set apart that day for us, so rest is important. All right, now your blood the blood is the life of the being, right? So if you look at the blood, it should tell you a lot, right? And it does. All right. So here's some healthy blood. Okay. All your blood cells have a negative charge, so they should repel each other and not stick together. If your blood cells are sticking together, what's that called? That's called a stroke if they stick together in the head. If they stick together in the heart, that's a heart attack. if they stick together in the lungs, that's a pulmonary embolism. All three of those things are deadly. And if most people don't die, they just are maimed, and your life is over, really. All right, here's some diseased blood cells. Those, you can see that they're missing the middle. That's diabetes. That's what diabetic blood looks like. And then over here, this here, it's called Rolo. Okay, so your blood cells have lost their charge. They're sticking together. And at some point, there's going to be bad things that happen to whoever's that blood that is. Now, your greens will give you back your blood. It'll give your blood cells back the charge that they need. All right, this here, these are somebody that I looked at. This is their blood in the beginning. Okay, this was my dad's blood. He had COPD. I showed up at his house. He couldn't even help us unload the car because he was oxygen and he was taking about 15 breathing treatments a day. And so I told him, I said, well, I'm coming up there and you're going to eat like I do. And he said, oh, I don't know. And I said, well, since you're not cooking, I bought the food. I guess you will, or you'll starve. So he was when he put it that way. All right. So I was up there for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And we ate a vegan lifestyle, grain-free. And this is what his blood looked like after 2 weeks.
Praise the Lord.
So he got the charge back on his cells. And I didn't get a picture. I wish I would have gotten a picture of him when I first got there. He was gray and just out of energy. This was him at the end of the 2 weeks.
Did
And
you decide to stick with it?
as long as I was there, he would. As soon as I went home. Yeah. So, yeah, that was my dad. He's now passed from his dairy. All right, so what should we eat? Okay, so can anybody, look at this. Look at this. Anybody read labels? Look at this. Corn syrup. Okay, that's going to take your liver out. All right, high fructose corn syrup. Like the first one wasn't enough. Okay, and then trade secrets over here, natural and artificial flavors. Polysorbate, lube. And this here, sorbiton monosteroid, that's a wax and a hemorrhoid cream. And yeah. So, does anybody know what this is? What?
I was just going to say, I've seen labels where they try to disguise it. They just put fructose, period.
Yeah, they changed it now because everybody was catching on to that high fructose corn syrup thing. So they changed it. So anybody know what that is? It's a very popular item.
Is it yogurt? It's not yogurt.
No?
It's not kind of
Oh, down here, down south, everybody loves it.
ice cream. Cool Whip.
Cool Whip.
Yuck.
Hey, it's non-dairy though, right? But look at your bread. All right, your bread. Look at the ingredients in your bread, and look at your label there. 1 gram of fiber, enriched flour, high fructose corn syrup, and lots of extra chemicals. Okay, now if you add a little molasses to that and put a little grain, just a little bit of grain in it, that becomes whole wheat. That's what they do. And people go, oh, I eat the whole wheat. Okay, but you bought it from the grocery store, so that you're getting the same thing. It's got a little color in it.
On the way up here, we stayed at a motel, right? And they served us some complimentary waffles or whatever for breakfast. I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll eat one. But then they had this non-stick spray. And I looked at the label, I was like, it's just all chemicals. That's all it is.
Yeah, that's all it is. But everybody does it. Okay, now this is what our labels should look like. I mean, do you know what is in that? I mean, can you imagine what this product looked like? Because you can read that stuff. You understand unsweetened apples, walnuts, raisins, cinnamon. You understand that, right? Does anybody know what this label is? It's a Larabar. So you understand so that's what we should be eating, is the stuff where we can read the ingredients. And of course, you knew you weren't getting away without hearing about chiropractic care. All right. So this one's normal. Obviously, this here is subluxated. And what gives you your pain is this vertebrae here, the holes that are there. It pinches your nerve, and that's what's going to cause you pain. Understand that when you have pain, now you're behind the 8 ball. Now we gotta do some work to clear that up. And a lot of people say that chiropractors, oh, they just want you to come back there, just trying to make money off you. No, we know what it takes to heal. It's not one and done. It's let's get everything back in line so it heals. I mean, that's your brain and your spinal cord. Okay, that controls everything. I have given people adjustments and they were constipated and they all of a sudden had to go to the bathroom. And that's part of your nervous system. That's a pretty good view of it, but that's part. So you can see that everything comes from the brain and the spinal cord. I was telling my uncle, about the kind of chiropractic care and stuff. And so, you have your head where the brain is kept. All right. And then underneath it is the atlas. The atlas is a really important bone. My uncle looked at me, he said, oh, so nobody gets to the Father except through the Son. All right, I can take that. But everything goes through the atlas, everything. And if that atlas is moved, it affects your whole nervous system. It affects your moods. It affects everything. Just the weight of a dime on a nerve can impair that, will decrease the how the brain can talk to it 60%. And a dime in your pocket, you might feel it when it first gets there, and then after a while you walk around, you don't even know it's there. Get used to it. This is what I use. My stuff is low force. And and this little gadget here, it also it has a frequency attached to it, so it puts a frequency in the body so that the body can see that I'm talking to that subluxation there, and then the body can fix it. Chiropractors, we don't fix anything. We leave that to God and the body. And then I used to, I'm also certified in Atlas orthogonal. This table looks wicked, but just the touch, that's what the adjustment feels like, just a touch like that. They take your x-rays for the Atlas orthogonal, do a lot of math, and then set you up perfect. So just as a symphony orchestra is comprised of many different instruments, our health is comprised of many different components. God has written the perfect plan that includes all components of health. We just have to play out his symphony for our health. Do the best you can till you know better. Then when you know better, do better. And that's it. That's your symphony.
Thank you. Have you opened your breakfast yet?
Working on it.
That's one thing when I became an Adventist, I started to realize I can't eat anything.
Yeah, one of my gluten talks,
Yes.
they had me come to the church in Greenville and do a gluten talk. And so when I was telling them what all gluten was in, some lady, she raised her hand. She goes, "What do you want us to eat?" I said, "Oh, there's a lot." And we had prepared a dinner, and everything was eaten up. And we had soup, and we had salad, and we had dressings, and we had dessert. The dessert was a raw carrot cake, which everybody was like, "You didn't cook this thing?" No, we didn't. But people were asking for seconds. It was that good.
I want the recipe.
It was really good. Yeah, I did the health minister stuff at Howley Acres, and Howley Acres they're kind of still around, but they don't have as big of a presence now as they once did. I think there's a health thing you can go to in Georgia, and I think Ann and oh gosh, what's his name? Ann and her husband, which is Reverend Malcolm, is his son, run that. I think.
Are they still in Shelby?
No. No, well they closed down Shelby, and then they opened up a store in Gastonia, and but now that's closed down too. So they only just have an internet presence now. That's it. But I went to several Hallelujah Acre weekends, and yeah, they were amazing. And George, even though George ate perfect, George, he ate a great diet, and but because of the stress in his life, George had a stroke. He had a stroke on. He was on the stage at Hallelujah Acres weekend, and he kept kind of repeating himself. So the family kind of, and they took him to the hospital, and they said, "Well, you have a stroke. We need to treat you with." And they said, "No, we're just going to take him home." And they were like, "Well, he'll die." Well, they took him home, and they do barley max. That's their thing, is barley max, and they just kept feeding him barley max. And the family gathered, and they prayed, and the next day, George come walking out in his underwear and wanted to know what everybody's doing there. And I have the video that he made a week after he had that stroke, and you could not tell. So even though you have a good diet, if you don't play the symphony right, these other things can come in and they can affect it.
We don't appreciate how stress affects us.
Yeah.
We have such a high baseline.
Anymore.
Yeah.
It seems like everything's stressful.
Are they still around? Are they still with us?
George died. And his wife, I think she's still alive. They had a house in Florida, but I think she's still alive. And Anne, the wife of Reverend Malcolm is his son. Her and I were talking at some of these Hallelujah Acre weekends, and she was talking to me, and I said, "Do you have a gluten allergy?" She goes, "No, I don't think so." Well, now she knows she has a gluten allergy, and she's written a couple books. You could, I've seen it for so long. But when my son was born, he had diarrhea all the time. Didn't know what was wrong with him, and my uncle said it's probably grains, and I'd never even heard of that before. I didn't even know what to feed my kid. I went out and bought a 50-pound sack of brown rice, which is gluten, but it's lesser.
Yeah.
It's lesser.
Well, and the thing is, we don't have the enzymes to digest carbohydrates or anything besides mother's milk until the molars come in.
Exactly, and then even then.
And they put babies on cereal in the bottle at 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, and have you read the ingredients? Corn syrup.
Yeah.
So they're taking these babies' liver away already.
Yeah, I would say we're the only mammals that continue to drink milk after being weaned.
Exactly.
And it's not even human milk.
Right.
I mean, who was the first one that thought of something out of cow's udder?
Yeah, I know. Isn't that weird? I mean, and then see even the milks that we have back here, the oat milks, which I don't recommend oat milk because. But your almond milk, coconut milk, and those were not made to drink in excess anyway. They're good for certain. Add them to things and stuff, but we're not to. Water is what we should be. Water.
How about soy milk?
I don't do soy milk, but and the soy is high in estrogen, so it gives moon breasts.
Actually, I worked in Dr. Horsley's office down in Hines, and he had a whole book. They were using it over in Europe to treat breast cancer. They were using
I've
soy.
read stuff on that.
And the soy actually has an inhibitor that is way stronger against estrogen than the milk that's in there. They just didn't tell people that.
But it still.
They had study after study.
It
was really.
But you're
just organic soy and water.
Now you got. And your soy too. It's hard to find the organic soy. It's GMO'd. Yeah, you have to have organic because you.
And then
You're saying soy is good.
it's okay if it's organic.
Right.
Pure.
Yeah, I just and I don't fool with soy, so it makes my kidneys bleed, so I can't.
Have you ever used just organic? And it still makes you get urinary incontinence.
Yep, it messes with everything, so I can't even, and then you know, so I don't really fool with soy.
Just a point that's not exactly on topic, but was just reading where people that have not had the jab, but have to have blood transfusions.
It's the same as getting a jab.
Same as getting the jab, and they have real high spikes in their bloodstream.
Yep. So if you, and then let's say that you got it, but your husband didn't. Well, the shedding, and then of course you're gonna swap body fluids, so it'll be the same.
Yep.
Do you have another second one on labels?
Yeah.
Label reading? Okay.
What, label reading?
You did some of it.
I did. Yeah. There's another one on label reading.
Okay. Thank you, Yvonne, so much. Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, folks, we're gonna have a break. 12:45 with Karen and the special first session over here. 12:45. Enjoy.
I don't even know.
Break until 12:45.